Good afternoon. So one thing that's not in my bio that I'm probably most proud of is that I am a mom. While my passion and purpose in life is to do the work of Thurgood Marshall and Charles Hamilton Houston and Ella Baker, my most important job is that I am a mom of Jacqueline. Jacqueline is 12 years old and she goes to a public school in Prince George's County, Maryland. She is going into 8th grade, and it's important to know that she's special. Imagine that, a mom saying her child is special. She plays basketball, she is an incredible singer, and she is my baby. And so I want you to know that it's important to me because Jacqueline has been going to the same school since she was in kindergarten. She's going into 8th grade. It's a K-8 school. And every day I bring her to school and I drop her off every morning. I kiss her as she leaves the car. And I just hope. I hope that when she gets in the building, that learning will happen, that her mind will be open, that she will receive the information she needs to be an incredible person, that she's being nurtured, that she's being loved by every adult in the building. I have to say that in 5th grade was the first time that Jacqueline said to me that she noticed that there was a change in how teachers were treating the children. A teacher that she had had for 4th grade and now 5th grade wasn't as nice as he used to be. And I remember it because I remember knowing this teacher and saying, what is happening? Why are you feeling, my child feeling differently about this teacher? Fast forward to 7th grade. At the end of this school year, for the first time, Jacqueline said to me, it's okay if you take me out, if you put me somewhere else. And you hear crackling in my voice because I am such a believer in public schools. My mom was a superintendent in New York. She worked her way up from 3rd grade as a 3rd grade teacher into administration. She was a Title I coordinator. And so I am a true believer in the good of public schools. I went to Jamaica High School in New York, closed under Mayor Bloomberg. That's another story. But I'm a believer. And so to hear those words out of my baby's mouth was heartbreaking. And she said to me, the reason why is because she feels like everything is about behavior. Everything is about personal responsibility. Everything is about what you're doing at a particular moment. She told me a story about going to lunch one day and a piece of salad falling on the floor, and someone that walked by it and left it, and the police officer and the administrator came over to the table and said, who dropped the piece of salad? And the kids turned and said, we don't know, we're eating. And the officer said, I want someone to take accountability for the salad. The administrator said, yes, who did it? My daughter and another boy said, we'll pick it up, it's no big deal. We'll just pick the salad up and throw it away, no big deal. The officer said, I'm going to go to the cameras. I'm going to find out, and someone is going to take responsibility. I tell you this story because my baby knew something was wrong in that moment, that the adults in the building had decided that they needed to use surveillance cameras to figure out who dropped salad on the floor instead of other kids saying, we're a community, we'll pick it up. And so in that moment, my child understood that the relationships were broken. that there was something happening in the building where the kids couldn't be trusted, that they couldn't be loved anymore, and that they couldn't be nurtured. And so we have a problem. In fact, not only a problem, but a crisis. In this moment where young people are in the streets saying Black Lives Matter, it is time for each one of us to take up the mantle and play our role. So I'm going to show you a few slides, because here's what we know. Can you go back one? Sorry. We know that there are 3.5 million students who are suspended every year. That is more than one student for every teacher. 1.55 million of all those students were suspended at least twice. For every one white student suspended, 3.5 Black students are suspended. Black girls are 6 times more likely to get suspended than white girls. Black students account for 18% of preschoolers, but represent 48% of preschool suspensions. Let's just pause for a moment. This is national data, and we need to understand that our babies, and I mean literally babies, 4- and 5-year-olds, are being excluded from classrooms. 4 and 5. Just one out-of-school suspension doubles a student's risk of dropping out. Just one. Here's what else we know. We know that it's easy to suspend. Get them out the classroom so that the others can learn. I've heard that before. But we also know that suspensions hurt. They hurt children. And guess what? They don't work. Here's what we also know. We know that if you suspend a child, they're more likely to fail academically. If they're more likely to fail academically, they're more likely to drop out. If they're more likely to drop out, they're more likely to wind up in the criminal justice system, the juvenile justice system, and in poverty for the rest of their lives. We also know this data. One suspension doubles the student's risk of dropping out. We also know that in a time of testing, in a time in which tests matter above all, unfortunately, that a child's being out of the classroom for even one day makes a difference in educational outcomes and in those grades. We also know that if that child is not doing well academically in this age of accountability where politicians want you all to be responsible for just about everything, that a child being out one day drives down academic outcomes, leads to bad ratings for schools, and then leads to school closures. And why is that happening? Because we know that there's a trend. There's a trend towards privatization. There's someone out there and some buddies and some corporations that have decided that public schools should not be a public good. And unfortunately, if we keep on the road that we're on by suspending kids, we're going to prove them right. So, what do we do about it? The tide is changing. I can say that AFT, from the time that I started a relationship, which really wasn't a relationship, back in 1999 when I started doing this work, we were not on good ground. In fact, AFT had a position that wasn't quite friendly to those of us who were trying to end harsh discipline. But now, fast forward. And I want to thank Randy and the staff at AFT for understanding that what we are doing has to change. And that is tribute to the grassroots movement of parents and young people that has been building across the country for the past 15 years or more. We also know that one of the things that we have to do in our schools is we have to understand that race matters. When you look at suspensions, especially when you look at subjective suspensions, such as insubordination, disrespect, all of that is in the eye of the beholder, and bias plays into it. And so we have to be really ready to challenge the issue of racial bias in our classrooms. And what I want to say to you all is that in challenging this, you need to understand that as young people are in the streets saying Black Lives Matter, teachers, you have an opportunity of a lifetime to lead the way to changing so that young people of color understand not only are they human and that their lives matter, but that they are valued. You have an opportunity to be on the front in this fight because Jacqueline is depending on you. And all of the babies that we send every day to teachers across the country are depending on you. And so we are looking to you to make sure that Black lives do matter. Thank you.